Alright guys, we're back to talking about Covid-19, but this time mainly the Delta variant and obviously vaccines. Now we're going to start with these two headlines. One from Guardian Australia, 16th of July 2021. Headline says, Australia COVID outbreak. Delta variant cases rise among fully vaccinated people. I've paired that with this CNN article from the 19th of July 2021. And that headline is COVID-19, hospitalizations and deaths are increasing and the vast majority were not vaccinated. Now how can this be? Obviously this video we're going to focus in how the Delta variant is mainly affecting unvaccinated people in the United States, but here in Australia somehow fully vaccinated people are still being affected by the Delta variant. I suspect it has something to do with this. Before I started any research, I put my money on the fact that we mainly only have AstraZeneca vaccines available to Australians. And so being a concerned Australian, I thought I would go check out health.gov.au and see what they had to say about the situation. And what I found was a video of a doctor answering some of the most asked questions by us Australians on social media. And the top 3 questions are, 1. Are the COVID-19 vaccines less effective against the Delta variant? Will we need a booster vaccine in future? 2. Are 2 shots of the COVID-19 vaccine able to reduce the risk of hospitalization and death? If so, by how much? And 3. Can you please clarify the ATAGI's recent advice? What is the recommended gap between AstraZeneca shots in breakout areas and why?
I'm Dr. Lucas Atoka, and I lead the Australian government's rollout of the vaccine through GPs. Welcome to this segment in which we will be answering the top 3 questions that you've been asking through social media. We need to make sure that we're addressing the questions that are most important to you.
Alright, I skipped to what I thought was important, but obviously I'll have a link to the full video in the description box below.
All of our discussion today is going to be on variants and vaccines and how the variants and vaccines interact. The first question that we've been getting is about the so-called Delta variant or Delta strain and how it affects vaccination and whether we will need booster doses.
Now, the long story short of what he says here is he explains how viruses mutate, and he sort of just seems to drag it on and drag it out to lead to saying, yeah, we probably will need booster shots. And I'm just like, I'd be shocked if we had a third of the population fully vaccinated. And you're talking about booster shots. The problem is there's not enough vaccines and you're talking about booster shots.
And the question is, that we've been getting is, are 2 shots of the COVID vaccine able to reduce the risk of hospitalization and death against Delta, and by how much? And the answer is yes, absolutely. COVID-19 vaccines are incredibly effective, much more than we could initially imagine, at providing direct protection. That is, making sure that the individual that is vaccinated has an incredible amount of protection against getting sick from COVID, hospitalized, or let alone die from it. So that's what we're banking on. It also appears, and there's more and more evidence on this, that the vaccines do have an impact in reducing symptomatic infection, and any form of symptomatic infection is what really increases the risk of transmission. So an impact on symptomatic infection will have an impact on transmission, but ultimately an impact on severe disease is what we want, because it's what will prevent people from getting very sick and dying.
See what I mean? You think he's going to answer the question and he says yes, and then he talks for another 30 seconds. But he finally gets to some information that's actually useful. And now this is what I really want you to pay attention to, this next bit here.
It does seem that 1 single dose of the AstraZeneca vaccine only provides partial protection against symptomatic disease. So it's about 30% against symptomatic disease. But we have good evidence that full course provides a protection of about 70% against symptomatic disease against the Delta variant. But the most important message is that 2 doses of either vaccine, AstraZeneca or Pfizer, provide more than 90% protection against severe disease, hospitalization and death against the Delta variant for both of them. And that is why it's so important that we complete a course of either vaccine, because both of them will give us pretty much equivalent protection on against severe disease from the Delta variant, which is what at the moment is concerning us.
Did you hear what he did there? He explained that one dose of AstraZeneca is about 30% effective, and then having both doses is about 70% effective. Then all of a sudden it's 90% effective for both Pfizer and AstraZeneca. Okay, Doc, you said a lot there in a couple of seconds. Now let's match up what he said with some data on the effectiveness of these vaccines against the different variants.
It does seem that one single dose of the AstraZeneca vaccine only provides partial protection against symptomatic disease. So it's about 30% against symptomatic disease. But we have good evidence that full course provides a protection of about 70% against symptomatic disease against the Delta variant.
England, Scotland, Israel and Canada. And with all of them having the Pfizer vaccine for the Alpha variant above 90%, and with all of them, with the exception of Israel, it's around 80% for the Delta one when it comes to Pfizer. But with the AstraZeneca one, in the two countries that have been giving 2 doses, it doesn't really even seem to reach 80% for the Alpha variant, and then about 60% for the Delta. Oh, and I just want to quickly add, it really gets under my skin when they talk about these vaccines like having 1 dose or 2 dose. It should be have the full dose or half, because you're meant to have both for it to be complete. And obviously, only having half of something won't be as good as having the whole thing. But anyways, so the doc that was in charge of answering the most asked questions by Australians kind of gave correct information with the 1 dose being 30% effective, and then was a bit generous with the 70% he gave. And I've noticed they do this a lot in Australia, where they'll try to talk vaguely about vaccines to try and use the information of the Pfizer one to cover their ass for the AstraZeneca one.
But the most important message is that 2 doses of either vaccine, AstraZeneca or Pfizer, provide more than 90% protection against severe disease, hospitalization and death against the Delta variant for both of them.
So what do you mean both of them? You just said AstraZeneca, 70%, 2 doses. I could only imagine what it would be like to lie to an entire country. This is the dude's face straight after he said that. Doesn't look like he feels good about what he just did, because it's such an obvious, blatant lie. You contradicted yourself in the same sentence. Now let's go through some other articles that mention this topic. First one, the Pfizer vaccine, 89 to 93.4% effectiveness at preventing infections with the Alpha variant of the coronavirus, and 79 to 88% against the Delta variant. AstraZeneca showed 66.1 to 74% effectiveness against Alpha and 60 to 80% effectiveness against Delta. Another one, for protecting against symptomatic infections, AstraZeneca and Pfizer are both 33% effective after 1 dose. This rises to 60% after the 2nd dose of AstraZeneca and 88% after the 2nd dose of Pfizer. And another one, after both doses, the Pfizer vaccine showed 88% effectiveness against symptomatic disease caused by the Delta variant compared to 39% against the Alpha variant. 2 doses of AstraZeneca vaccine were 66% effective against Alpha, but only 60% against Delta. And of course, links will be in the description box below. Here's another one. The effectiveness of 1 dose of Pfizer or AstraZeneca is only 33% against Delta, but this raises to 88% after 2 doses for Pfizer and 59.8% after 2 doses of AstraZeneca. And even this one from a Murdoch publication, where they were writing about the AstraZeneca one in a positive light, and this is what it says: but until you're fully vaccinated with 2 doses of AstraZeneca or 2 doses of Pfizer at the recommended time intervals, you are not optimally protected. After your 2nd dose of AstraZeneca, your protection against the Delta variant almost doubles from 33% to 60%. See? Even there, they're like, it almost doubles to 60%. Oh, and how it said at the recommended time intervals, I figured it would be quicker if I just go ahead and answer the third question that was asked about the recommended time between the AstraZeneca shots. Now you see, it was at like 12 weeks because they believed that the vaccine was more efficient at protecting you if you had more time in between the first and second shot. But as you can see, you're more protected once you have both shots in you. So that's why they're trying to hurry along people getting their second shot. That's why they've changed the recommended time to something like 4 to 6 or 8 weeks instead of the full 12. And oh hey, this video is about the same length as the one put out by the Australian government with the doctor answering the top 3 questions asked by Australians. And I would just like to remind people what started this little "what do you mean" investigation. The fact that the Delta variant is infecting unvaccinated people in other places, but over here in Australia, the Delta variant is still infecting the very few fully vaccinated people we have. And it seems like the reason is something that we all are very well aware of already. The vaccine Australia mainly has isn't very good. It's not good at all. Some countries haven't even bothered with it. Thanks for watching. I'll try to smash out as many videos as I can for you guys since I'm now in lockdown.